Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got a couple of MHS contenders here on the table. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts, linked to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. And please consider supporting the channel on Player, formerly Utreon, where we can do some types of videos that are no longer allowed on YouTube. I've got the winner, the Sauer M17, and this is the actual M17. This one is exactly identical to the military version, produced on the same line. It's an overrun. And this is the civilian version of the Glock 19X that was submitted for the military trials. The M17 also has a civilian version. It'll be called the P320 M17. And there are a few notable differences. The reasons you might want to have the actual M17, the military version, is if you want something that is identical to what the military uses. The pistols in the military are not full auto, they're semi-auto, just like civilian guns, only their rifles tend to have the full auto feature. But there are a few differences, and the Glock 19X was not chosen, so there is no actual real military version of it. The 19X is just what you see here. And I've also got a Glock 45. This Glock 45 is a successor to the 19X, but basically it is a 19X in configuration. And there's a few differences on this over the 19X you see on the table that could make you decide you want the 45 instead of the 19X. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those differences because we've actually done a comparison video. We'll put a link in the description. We also have full reviews on everything you're going to see here today. But the P320, or in this case the actual M17, was submitted by Sauer for the modular handgun system trials, and it won. And one of the most important things it had over the other contenders is it is actually modular. So just like the P320 that it's based upon, the internal chassis, the serialized component is the chassis that comes out, is multi-caliber and can be used in multiple different size grips and everything else. That serialized component, the fire control group, is the same in pretty much all of them. You can swap out slides and barrels and everything else. So I'm not really sure why the military wanted modularity. They're not kind of prone to customizing things to different soldiers' whims. Pretty much this is what we issue, take it or leave it. But that's what they wanted, and that was what SIG provided, and the others didn't. So it's not surprising SIG ended up walking away with the contract. But a few things about this gun. First off, it has a regular Picatinny rail. It's not a SIG rail, it's a regular Picatinny rail. Of course, the military would not want a proprietary rail. They'd want the standard Picatinny rail, and that's what this is. It does have a thumb safety. That was one of the things the military wanted. And it's relatively easy to use. It kind of bites into your thumb a little bit when you go to thumb it on. It thumbs off very smoothly. But again, that's not something I've probably done this safety more than a soldier would in an entire week, so that's really not a big deal. It does have a kind of a small slide stop slide release, but it's easy to get to. The safety does kind of interfere with getting to it, but you can get to it and operate it fairly easily. And it comes with a combination of one of these 17 round mags which fits flush, and you get a 3-finger grip. And it also comes with these 21 round magazines that kind of have a nice looking extension. They don't continue the grip like some of the other guns out there on the market do, but they do a lot better than Glock does. Glock basically, the magazines that come with Glocks, if you use a longer magazine, it just hangs down. Of course, any Glock will use any magazine from the same style, larger, so you can put the much larger magazines in any of the Glocks. This is basically a 19 and a 17 hybrid, but they just kind of hang down like that. Of course, this magazine is designed for the gun, so it does fit flush. It came with this magazine, and it came with, these are the 17 round magazine with a plus extender, which adds 2 rounds of capacity, and these are factory mags. This is what came with the gun. It does have a kind of a finger grip extension, but this is a 3-finger gun. Your hand's not going to be anywhere down near that. But it's the same plus extension they use on multiple different style magazines. But both of these have a full-size grip. These are service pistol size grips, both the SIG and the Glock, and that's what the military wanted. From a sights perspective, so by the way, in the end, the SIG wins the capacity contest because 21 rounds in the extended magazines that come with it versus 19 rounds in the Glock extended magazines. The Glock does win the overall capacity because any magazine that fits a Glock 17 will fit this. So, and there's all sorts of magazines out there that have much higher capacity than the 19 or the 21 you see here on the table. Get rid of the magazines of both of these. From a sights perspective, the Glock actually has better sights. So these are the factory sights that came with it. The sights on both these guns are metal. They're 3-dot night sights on both guns, and the front and rear sights on the Glock have the white ring around them, making them very easy to see during the day, and of course at night they're going to glow green just like any tritium sight. The Sig Sauer is night sights. However, the back sights don't have the ring, and they're a little difficult to see. They do kind of glare a little bit, which kind of makes them stand out a bit if the lighting is right. But if you had lighting straight from the top down, coming in this way, and nothing to get those to glare up a little bit, they tend to black out a little bit. The front sight, of course, you can see is easy to see. So I would say that the Glock has better sights. The Sig Light night sights on the Sig, some of them do have the white rings, but not on the M17. Now, as far as optics go, all versions of the M17, including the civilian, are optics ready. One notable difference, the M17 only takes the military optic that was designed for the military version, which actually is more expensive than the gun. So the MSRP on the civilian P320 M17 is around $768. These don't have an actual MSRP. They're kind of getting hard to find, and the harder they get, more expensive they'll get. So these will probably just get more and more expensive as they run out of allocation on overruns and things like that. The Glock has an MSRP around 600-ish for the 19X like you see here, and the 45 that I showed you is actually a little less expensive, 550-ish and 600-ish for the MOS variant. So the 45 succeeded the 19X and has an MOS and a non-MOS variant. Now just very recently, it's not even on Glock's website, there's a special edition of the 19X that comes with a threaded barrel and optics ready, the MOS system. I believe it's a distributor exclusive. Glock's been doing that more often lately, but it's not even on their website. And it has an MSRP around $750. So the Glock with the optics ready and the threaded barrel kind of comes close to the price of the Sig Sauer P320 M17. In all other variants, it's less expensive than the civilian version of the M17. So if you're looking at solely on a price basis, the Glock's going to kind of pull ahead there. The 45 has front and rear serrations, the 19X has rear serrations only, and the Sig has both front and rear serrations. They're both easy to work with. I'll kind of show you the triggers. So the Glock has your standard Glock trigger, a little bit of take-up, and then you're on kind of a defined crisp wall. These are a little bit lighter than the standard Glock, in around 5.5 pounds. And they have the kind of the standard Glock decent reset. It's not the shortest on the planet, but it's a decent reset. You're right on the wall, and then the break again. I like Glock triggers. Some people hate Glock triggers. The ones that have the slightly lighter are kind of a better trigger. The standard trigger can be a little stiff. The Sig's a little different. Almost no take-up. And then you're on the wall. And I'm not going to call it creep, but you do have a little bit of pull through the wall. It gets real crisp and then breaks, but it's still light. It's right in the territory of the Glock. It just feels different. And the reset, a little bit gritty, but about the same travel as the Glock. A hair of take up to get back on the wall. And then again, a nice break. Both of these triggers are good. Both of these triggers are different. Other than personal preference, neither of these triggers is going to make a big difference of being able to shoot one or the other well. I think the biggest difference for me would be the sights. I could see the Glock sights a little bit better. The 45 is pretty much standard Glock. It does have night sights available, but it comes with the plastic U-dot sights that you see on pretty much every Glock out there. The Glock has replaceable back straps, comes with 3 of them. So actually it comes with 2. So this back strap, which is the actual frame of the gun, is the small. Then there's a medium you can put on here and a large, and you can operate the gun without a back strap, just like this. The Sig doesn't do the back straps. You would replace the grip frame. And other than the fact that the safety is here may cause compatibility issues with the other grip frames, you do have the luxury of changing the grip frames, but you have to find the grip frames. I kind of prefer the Glock backstrap system, and others guns out there do that, the Walthers and Springfields. The backstrap system seems to be a really good way to do it, unless you want to change the overall length or size of the gun. But as soon as you start changing the length, now you're needing to change slides and everything else. It can get very expensive very quickly executing that, versus if all I want to do is make the grip a little bit bigger because of the size of my hand, slapping a backstrap on it. Dimensionally, they're similar. The Glock is 7.44 front to back. The SIG is 8 front to back. But the SIG has a 4.7-inch barrel, and the Glock has a 4.02. So, of course, it's got to be longer to accommodate the barrel, and, of course, the size of it is what the military wanted. From a height perspective, I'm going to put the flush magazines in each one of these, and watch me not get it right. Find the flush magazine for the Glock. The Glock is a hair shorter at 5.47 versus 5.55. Difference is almost imperceptible, but if I put this piece of paper on it, you can kind of see. If I kind of push down on it, get it flush, get my finger out of the way, you can kind of see the difference. It's fractions of an inch. So again, 5.47 tall for the Glock and 5.5 for the SIG. The grip height is not going to make a difference in whether or not you can conceal it or which gun you choose. The length may make a little bit of difference. The P320 is always a little bit thicker than other guns out there. P320 comes in at 1.4 and the Glock is 1.3 inches. So a little bit portlier, and you can actually, even though it's only a tenth of an inch, it stands out. You can actually see it. And weight, the Glock is 24.83 ounces, and the SIG is 29.4. So the SIG's a little bit heavier, but that difference is not significant. It's a little over a half ounce. It's not going to make a difference of whether you can carry it. So dimensional specs really aren't going to drive a decision one way or the other. What it's going to come down to is whether you like the P320 trigger and the design of it, whether or not you're wanting something that is either identical to or close to the specifications of what the military uses, or whether you're kind of more familiar with the Glock functionality. They were both easy to shoot well, other than me having a little harder time seeing the sights. I would say I liked the feel and the operation of the Glock a little bit better. It seemed to control recoil just a hair better, but neither one of these was significantly better or worse than the other. I could tell the difference. If I picked up one and fired it without looking at it, I'd know which one I had in my hand, but in the end, neither one of them would really much better or much worse than the other. I think I would say, about the 19X, since there is no official military version of it, it was not accepted. They're all the same. So you either buy the 19X or you buy the Glock 45, but there is no military version to consider. With the P320 or the M17, there is the military version like I have in my hand, and then there's the civilian version, the P320-M17. As a rule, for most people that are just looking for a handgun, whether it's for self-defense or range time, home defense, that type of thing, you're probably going to be better going with the P320 M17. Glocks, the 19X or the 45 will serve you well. The 45, the serrations at the front and rear, more conventional sights, and this one isn't, but the optics ready capability is, the 45 might be a little bit better choice than the 19X. One other thing, they both have lanyard loops. So the SIG, you put it through here and out this hole, and on the Glock you have this kind of add-on that it's attached part with the backstrap pin. So the same pin that holds the backstrap in holds this in. You can remove this from the Glock if you want. Just like if you were going to remove the backstrap and then you pop this out, put the backstrap back on, and it's gone. So hopefully that was interesting and maybe helpful. But beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell up there to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you.